Hey everyone, happy Friday. Thanks for watching this week's Ask an HR Expert. My name is Kristen Nielson. I'm the Communication Manager here at Stratus.hr. And this week we're going to talk about unemployment claims. The question basically came in that said, what do I need to do to win an unemployment claim from an employee that's filing frivolously or it's unwarranted? And how do we win those? So basically there's 3 steps that need to happen in order to win a claim. The first is making sure that you hire the right person for the right job in the first place. This means conducting background checks, drug screenings before they start the job. Make sure you call your references and deploy skills testing if that's appropriate for the job. Basically want to make sure you've got the right person in the position. Next is you want to make sure you have the policies in place that are very clear to your employees, that they understand, and that also the employer follows. You want to make sure that you're not trying to enforce policies that you're not yourself going to follow. So make sure that any updates that happen, they get sent out to employees. Any new employees are well informed of the policies. The next is documentation. This is the big one. You want to make sure that you document everything. This starts out usually with a termination. It starts out with warnings. If you give a warning to an employee for conduct, you want to make sure it's not only a verbal warning. You can give a verbal warning, but you want to make sure that you follow it up with documentation. If you only give a verbal warning and you never document anything that happened with it, it turns into kind of a he said, she said thing, and it's very hard to prove what was actually taking place in that warning. So document everything. As soon as an employee makes a claim, the burden of proof is on the employer to prove that the employee was indeed termed for cause. So in order to win a claim, you have to make sure that you're proving culpability or harm. This is basically meaning that there was not any kind of reasonable alternative besides firing the employee because their actions were causing harm to the employer. The next one is knowledge. The employee has to know that what the actions that they were doing is causing harm and that would lead to termination. And then the last one is control. The actions that caused the employee to be discharged were totally within the control of the employee. So those are the 3 things that you need to prove in order to win a claim. And documentation is key to all of that. If you've got text messages, photos, emails, anything like that, that can prove all of those things, you need to keep those. Sometimes an employee won't file unemployment for maybe even a year or 2 later, and you still have to kind of fight that. You need to make sure that you keep all of those things because it's not going to be fresh in your memory 6 months down the road, right? So keep everything, make sure you document everything, and then also make sure that your warnings that you're issuing are progressive. So the first warning, it's kind of like baseball, right? First strike is the first warning. Second one is the second warning. You want to make sure that they know that if there's a 3rd strike that leads to termination. And then the last warning is when they get terminated. You need to make sure that all of those are documented. Again, making sure you have hiring the right person in the first place, that you have policies that are clear and understandable and you're following them yourselves, and that you document everything. And lastly, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. We're happy to answer any questions you have and give you any tips or training that you might need in order to make sure that you can protect your company's bottom line and protect yourself against frivolous unemployment claims. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys next week, and feel free to reach out to Stratus at any time. Thanks.